So The Butterfly Effect, a series of 3 movies. Surprising to some of you, I'm sure. Now, I'm not the only one to revisit, particularly the first one after release. Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian in 2009 kind of revisited it and came to a similar conclusion. It's not a bad fantasy film. Now, before you say, but it's sci-fi, it's time travel. No, it's fantasy. Sci-fi, the word science is in there, and there's no scientific explanation. The closest we've got is biology and genetics, because it's hereditary. But that is not science fiction in the proper sense. There's nothing exploring why the biology works that way. So it's fantasy. It is a fantasy film. And, as I say, a lot of people had an initial problem with it, but have come to it later on, as I say, particularly after the release of the director's cut, with a new appreciation. Now, the sequels, they're a whole different ballgame, but we'll get to those in coming weeks. So, a lot of people's problems with the first one is, of course, Ashton Kutcher. People are like, who is this weird frat boy looking guy? And it's weird that he kind of does become a frat boy through the film. And it is kind of played like it's really uncomfortable as a fit for him. I don't know if that was purely intentional and a clever bit of writing based on the casting, or if it was just weird happenstance. But either way, it's quite amusing. And, whilst he's got a lot of flack since then, I think it was a very solid performance. He runs the whole spectrum of emotions really well, I think. He convinces me that he is really Evan, and he's really having these issues. Now, as I say, the director's cut is the superior version, because it has the best ending, by a lot of people's estimations. Now, fair warning, spoiler territory, because I'm going to be discussing all 4 endings. So if you haven't seen all 4, or particularly if you just haven't seen the director's cut ending, I strongly urge you to go and watch that first and come back. It would be good. I'd be very happy for you to do that. So I'm assuming that if you're still here, you've either watched them and come back, or you don't care, or you've watched them previously, obviously. So that was your time. So the worst ending is the classic sappy Hollywood, after he's kind of, changed the course of their lives so that, he's not, Kaylee doesn't even know him, so he can't cause any issues on their life. He ends up sort of crossing her in the street, and as I say, this is the worst ending. They kind of go, oh wait, I feel a weird connection, because Hollywood has to have weird psychic connections between people who've never met, just because it serves as a happy ending. And they're kind of like, oh, go for coffee, why not? I don't like that. It doesn't marry very well with the rest of the film. It's too optimistic. Say what you want, I don't like optimistic endings, unless it's really justified. I'm not saying I'm against happy endings. Some of them are great. But I don't think this was right for the film. Now, the next worst one is sort of walking, everything's kind of the same, like they walk past each other, but they just kind of turn and they're like, I feel like I know you from somewhere. But there isn't the whole, let's go for coffee. So it's a bit more, it's optimistic, but it's not just like, hey look, they got together in the end, oh, isn't that lovely? Because, no. The almost best ending, the best ending that existed before the director's cut, if you will, is, they pass, but that's it. Like, he kind of goes a little bit, but, that's it. There is no wait, connection. Because he tends to remember the old life, if you will. If he remembers what happened before, which is why, obviously, the issue with his brain is there, because he's overriding memories, but still keeping the same memories, and your brain's only so kind of flexible. So he may kind of recall it, but, just keeps walking on. It's bittersweet. It's like, no, I made this decision to make your life better. What's to say that if I don't step in, that if I step into your life now, things couldn't go south, and I'm back to square one of kind of like, right, let's try and loop again. So that's fine, that's an okay ending. But the director's cut ending. So instead of going back, and kind of saying, oh, I hate you, at the party, causing the whole situation of never really getting that involved with Kaylee and her family and what have you. He actually sees a video of his mother when she was pregnant with him and strangles himself with his umbilical cord because, of course, he only needs an image of that time. So he kind of, uses this footage, as I say, of him in utero and just kind of goes, no. Which, I mean, it's very sad for his mum, obviously, particularly. Obviously, fathers feel bad during miscarriage and things like that. But, for sort of potential mother, it's very heartbreaking. Added to this, I don't know where this information came from. I looked it up once and I was like, oh, that's interesting, and I've totally forgotten where I saw it. So I do apologise that I can't put a link. But someone had kind of, whether they got it from the film or supplementary stuff, that it's not the first time. She apparently had 3 kind of miscarriages before, and the theory, the implication there, obviously, if it is genetically passed on, that they've also had a similar situation to Evan, where they've kind of had this situation of something's happened, they've really messed up in trying to fix it, they've made it worse, and they've kind of gone, well, wait, I can go back and just end myself before any of that can happen. And as I say, just that, the implications of that, it is such a darker ending, and I think it suits the film better. The first time that I watched it, actually, after the original viewing, was the director's cut on DVD. And I watched it and I was like, I don't remember this being this good. And I was like, oh wait, that is a different ending. Okay. The ending of the first Butterfly Effect impacted in both times, both the saccharine ending and the bleak ending. They impacted how the rest of the film felt to me. Now, sadly, the most recent time I've watched all 3 of them was Netflix, and Netflix has got the kind of middling one, where it's like, I think I know you from somewhere, but I'm not sure. But they don't do the whole let's go for coffee. I'm just like, oh, why have you done that? I mean, I know it's it's closer to the theatrical release, and I suppose they don't want to kind of have anything too bleak on there. But if you've got a thing about Jesus Camp, Netflix, then I don't think that the end, the best ending of Butterfly Effect is such a bad thing to have. So, if, you only watched it the first time around and was kind of swayed, or you never bothered, and you were kind of swayed by general critics' thing of, ooh, Ashton Kutcher, give it a chance. Give it a chance again. Don't watch it on Netflix. Get the director's cut on DVD, and see the potential. And before we close off, I do want to say it isn't without its problems. In every cut, there are problems. For example, the idea of the butterfly effect, taken to an extreme, taken like in a different angle, is if you went back in time and trod on a caterpillar, you could come to a time where we're all eating out of our butts and pooping out of our mouths. It's how this tiny little thing can actually have a wide effect. Now, nothing in really any of them particularly seems to actually have a wide-reaching effect. It's all very localized and central to the protagonist's life. That to me is a flaw. It could have been very interesting to see how the full world effects are impacted by these little changes that go on. And that, as I say, would have sold it to me. I mean, I know you could argue that I think the third time he goes back, like the goth roommate Thumper, they've switched sides, but that's still very local to him, and you don't know what the reasoning for it is. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, if he comes back at one point and Thumper's not a goth, that would have been interesting. Like the roles were reversed that way. He was the goth and Thumper was kind of normal. Well, goths are more normal to me than most people. Something like that. It would have been awesome. I would have really got on board with that. But it's a small flaw that I can overlook because in general it's got a lot of great ideas that it could do more with, but it's not bad. So as I say, give it a try if you've not seen it before. Give it another try if you've only seen it with one of the crappy endings. And if it's been a while, give it a watch again. And if you can, watch the other two over the coming weeks, so you're prepared for the next two instalments in this Revisiting the Butterfly Effect series. So, until next time, as always, take care and don't go changing the past.